Okay, so we shall continue from our previous discussion which we were having in the yesterday's session regarding classes. So we talked about inheritance, right? Now in inheritance, what happens? We have an existing class and we reuse the existing class to inherit by any other class. For example, let's say I will write this example with a different classes. So I have a animal and a dog can be extending an animal, and syntax was that we have a class wherein we say dog and we put animal here. It means that particular um, class dog which we are creating here extends animal. Okay, so let's try to create a similar structure of inheritance, and let's look at a concept of polymorphism in in Python. Okay, so I will create a new class here, Python file. So let's call it birds. Okay, and let me call CLASSPIRD, right? So in this I have a method called def underscore underscore init, right? This is a method which I have. Now here if you want I can say sysout, sorry, sysout is in Java, it is print, or here I can say I am inside init method, right? So this is a very simple method here I have. Now let me create one more method here which I call def of display of bird, let's say, and inside this I'll just go and say print, and in the bracket I'm going to say I am a bird, for example. Now what I'm also going to do is let's create another class here, and I'll call it maybe class, maybe STARROW. Now in order to make sure that this particular class has to inherit from another class, in the bracket I'll put the name of the class bird here, right, and colon, and then again maybe I can init method, I'll make it init method of maybe let's say bird, and in this one I can put for example, let me copy and paste this one here. So I will put init method of sparrow, for example, SPARROW, right? Now uh, if I go ahead and do this s equal to SPA sparrow with a bracket here, so from our yesterday's discussion we know that this will call an init method of sparrow, right? And if I run this program, let's see what happens. I get an output, I am inside the init method of sparrows. So this is the method which is executed when I run this program. Now what if I want to also call the method in the bird class, the init method there? So I can say super dot underscore underscore init, right? So now in this case creation of this particular sparrow will come to this method here, init method at line number 9, and because of this inheritance and because of the addition of this line at line number 10 here, it will go to this def, and now I'll see the output as I'm inside the init method of bird and then sparrow. So let's try to run this, and that is the expected output. This is something we have already seen. Now what is overriding? So in this method, or in this program which I have written in front of you, I have a bird, and bird has a method called display bird, right? So let me just create one more method and let me call it def of display. Inside this I am just saying a print of print of I am display method. I'll just say display method, and I will not mention whether it is for a bird or for a sparrow. Okay, now I can say s dot display, right? And if I run this program, what will happen? This line number 18 here will call a method at line number which is defined at 8. Why? Because this method which is in the super class, which is a bird, will have got inherited in the sparrow class, and because of inheritance I am able to access the method which is defined in the superclass with the help of instance of a subclass here. So if I run this program, it will show me here I am display method, right? Okay, so let's look at it in a little different form. So let's say I create instance of bird, b equal to new equal to bard, right? If I do this, what it will do, it will call this init method, and then if I after that say b dot display, for example, so this is going to call method at line number 8. Why? Because this is a method which is defined in this class, and I have created an instance of that class, and with the help of that instance I am calling the method. So if I run this program, run birds, I will get the following output, right? The init method and the display method, right? So now because I have said that class sparrow, in the bracket I say bird, what happens, the content which is in this particular class called bird, all of that will get inherited and it will be part of the subclass which is a sparrow class, right? And now let me for example comment these two lines. Now if I go ahead and create instance of sparrow as equal to sp yeah, I'll copy and paste it here. Okay, so now what I have done is I've created an instance of a class called sparrow. Okay, now if I say s dot, this method as well as this method will be accessible with this instance. Why? Because they have got inherited. So let's say s dot display, right? Now what if I remove this? Then there is no more inheritance, right? So if that is removed, then I cannot actually call the display method. Why? Because it is no more inheriting from the bird class. Is that right? So let me undo this again and let me run this. So it will display me. Okay, so let me okay. So when I create this line number 18, it will call this method, it will call super, it will go here, it will display this, and then it will display this, and then I'm calling display method, isn't it? And it will say I am display method. So run it, it is giving me the expected output. Okay, now let's try out one thing. Let me remove this, meaning that this particular class is no more inheriting from the bird class. Okay, so let's right click and run it. So it says that attribute sparrow object has no attribute display, right? Meaning that with this particular class sparrows object, I cannot call display method. Why? Because I am no more inheriting it, right? So this is a concept of inheritance which we have already covered in the previous session. Now let's say okay, I think I already have a car system here. Okay, now for some reason I have this example will be fine. So I have a car which has a start engine, right? So if I create instance of Maruti here, let me remove these two lines, I don't need it. So I can still call start engine with this m dot start engine. This is something I have just shown to you, because the method from here is getting inherited in the subclass. I can use the subclass instance and call this I am car start engine. So let's quickly run this and see if it works fine the way we expect. So yes, I am start engine is getting called, right? Now let's say I define a similar method in my subclass as well. Okay, I am start engine of, let's say, okay, I don't think this will make a good example. Let me create one more car. Okay, this will be a better example. So I'm going to call it BMW, for example, BMW, okay, which extends car, and I don't need all this for now. Now you will agree with me if I say that if let's say you go and buy a Maruti will have a functionality start engine, and even BMW will have. But if you are paying money for BMW, you will expect that it will have good engine efficiency, more power and all those things, right? So I might want to redefine or override the functionality which was there in the start engine. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it here. Okay, By doing so, what I am doing is I am overriding the start engine, meaning that I am start engine of BMW, meaning that I, in this particular method here, I could enhance it, upgrade it, or make changes to it, right? So there was a method here as well, plus I have a method with a similar signature. Name of the method is same and the argument is also same. In this case, I am not passing any argument, so it is completely same. Now if I go and create an instance of BMW equal to BMW, for example, and then if I say BM dot start engine, so in this case let's run the program. Right click. So let me comment this we have already understood, so let's avoid confusion. I'll comment this for now and let me run this program and see what will happen. So in it, okay, it is expecting okay, just 1 minute, let me, I don't need this one actually, and for the time being I don't need this one as well. I will remove this also. Okay, so I just have in fact I just need start engine to work on this. So I have a car, I have a BMW which extends a car. So let me run this again. So here you will see that it says I am a car start engine of BMW. Now although there is an instance, so if I remove this one, in case what happens, it calls the one in the super class. But here what I have done is I have overridden that particular class. Overridden meaning that I have enhanced it, upgraded or modified it. So this concept is known as overriding in Python, that you override an existing functionality of or a behavior of a particular method. Right? So in other words, it can also be called as polymorphism. Polymorphism, what polymorphism means? Poly is a combination of two words, poly plus morphos. A method which is exhibiting more than one form, and therefore it is known as polymorphism concept as well. Okay, so can you please try this? Okay, so let's make a small change in this particular program, so that just now I have explained to you the concept of overriding of a particular method, right? So let's try to override a, let's say, a variable or an attribute. So I'll say def underscore underscore init, right? And here I'll say self dot a, I'll call it val1 equal to, let's say, 10. Okay, and I'll say self dot val2 equal to, for example, 20. Right now I can delete this, I don't need all of this. Now if I say print of BMW dot val1, I'll get 10 and 20, right? Because these are the values which I've got inherited from the superclass, right? So let's say print of, I will say self, not this, I'll say BMW dot val1, val2 and val1. So let's just try out val1. So the value which was in superclass will get inherited in the subclass BMW and I'll get the value, right? So this is the value 10 I'm getting here. Now what I want to do is, out of these two values, val1 and val2, I want to override or change the value of one of them. So I will do it like this. I will create one more method here which I'll call as def again here, def of init. Right now in this I am just changing one of the values and not both. I am keeping one as is, plus I am changing the let's say val1 to 100. So if you will look at this program here, we have displayed a value of val1 here. This val1 is a val1 which has been initialized in this particular class BMW, right? If we are supposed to override it, then it becomes mandatory for me to also associate this class with a super class, and that is how we do that. We say super super dot underscore init, right? So once I do this, then only a super class val is created, val1, and then only the overriding is happening, right? So now if I say val1, then the overridden value is displayed, and in this case it is val2. So this will display me the actual value from the superclass, right? So it is mandatory to always, I mean, if we have to associate subclass with a superclass, then we have to make sure that we also call the init method. So basically the idea is, as we have looked yesterday while creating instance, that when I create instance of subclass, it will call the method here at line number 11, right? But I also want to create the instance of superclass. For that I have to say super bracket init, and then it will call this particular method and do the initialization for me, right?